Well, congratulations, Manager of the Month nomination.
Yeah, I've just heard that now. Obviously, we've been out on the grass. Listen, it's good, but this is it's about the whole group. It's about everybody continuing to do what we've been doing over this last couple of weeks. They're not important for me. You know, it's great, but it's just about this group now. They go out and play the games. There's a lot of people involved in doing this, in what we're trying to do and what we're trying to achieve. That's what it's all about. It's a group of people working hard, trying to achieve what we all know it's pretty public what we need to try and do.
But it's also a manager nomination, so it's about you as well.
Yeah, but again, I know I've sounded a bit. I'm the limelight, and I'm just a humble guy who I never look at it for me. I'm always looking at the people that I'm working with. I can't do this on my own. It just doesn't happen. So yeah, it's okay, it's that, but there's a lot of work gone into that from everyone involved at the club. So it's nice, but it's not something that I crave or something that means loads to me personally. I'm just not that sort of guy.
But it's an indication that things are going well and have gone really well in the last few games. But then I've just been saying to James before, you look at what happened with City last night, so near yet so far. You're so near, but yet there's work to be done. Yeah,
definitely. I think you summed it up perfectly there, what you've just said. There is. We've done okay. We're in a good place as a group. But again, it's just what do we need to do next now? You couldn't put it any better than what you've just said.
In terms of injuries, how are you looking?
Yeah, at this moment in time, J-Rod's still a little bit with his hamstring, so we're having a little look on him. Then Ben's back on the grass a little bit. He's doing a bit more running. I've got a little bit of a list there, so bear with me. Ash, obviously with his operation, so he's been around the lads helping out. It's good for him to be around the place. Eric's back on the grass, looking really good. Trained all week, so that's a big positive for us. And Maxi is been out on the grass with us today, so some really good positives for lads coming back as well.
What do you make of Villa? Because as a club, you've not met them this season. A really strange situation.
Yeah, it is odd when you've not played a team so far at this stage of the season. But obviously Villa, they're a good side, got a good manager, obviously, and a good set of staff. But again, it's like any team in this Premier League. They have the strengths and the weaknesses, and you're going up against each other, trying to combat that all the time. Nothing changes in terms of that. You know what I mean? They've got some quality players, we know that. And it's about us being right on the day and attacking those moments. That's what we've done so far. We've attacked each moment in the game.
Steven Gerrard, fellow Liverpudlian, have you passed crossed?
No, people keep saying I'm a Liverpudlian and I'm not, no. So people keep saying that. I don't know where to get, maybe my accent might have a little bit of a twang to it. Up there is it, regions, but when you're in Liverpool, this isn't a Liverpool accent. Trust me.
No, have you passed crossed?
No, not at all. Listen, him as a you have to speak to him about as a player, you know. And the thing I always noticed about him, and whenever watched him, he played the game if it was the last one he was going to play. You know, that's how I watched him, and that's how you want your players to be. And I'm sure he starts to instill that in his team. So. Listen, did really well at Rangers. He's come down into the Premier League, and again, he's attacking it like he thinks it's best. So, listen, Villa are a good side. We know that.
You play first on Saturday. The two main teams down there with you, Leeds and Everton, don't play till Sunday. Psychologically, can you take anything from that situation?
It can, like I said last time, it can be if you actually get a positive result. Obviously, it helps because if you're the first up. But again, it's about making sure we deliver on that day. It doesn't mean nothing if you don't deliver on it, who plays when. It can have a psychological advantage, but at this stage of the season, it's still a long way to go, and the emotions that are around everything, people commenting on it all the time, it's going to have an influence.
Are you a big fan of psychology? I mean, does the club employ anybody in that sort of field?
Yeah, I think the mental side of the game is huge. It's for me, it's the missing piece sometimes. You've got lads with terrific amount of ability, and sometimes it can be the mental side that can let them down. That for me, that's where the gains lie, as individually and as a group as well. That mentality as a group, how you build spirit, how you build that positivity, and then responding to setbacks as well. So for me, I've learned that when I was a young coach, it was all about X's and O's, you know, moving things around on a board. That's not the game. The game involves people. It's trying to find a way of getting the best out of them. So you've got to know the psychological side of it and get to know them and around that. But we have people here helping with that as well, who you can lean on and speak to about, who are experts in the field.
Can I just ask you about Ashley Westwood as well? Tell us a little bit about how you've incorporated him back into the group, because I gather he's doing some game preparation work.
Yeah, obviously he's got his injury and he's joined our club in the back cave. Watching the analysis, watching games. So he's another one who's swinging from the ceiling and there with us 3 or 4 hours at a time. So no, again, great experience as a player, good knowledge. He's looking to get into his coaching as well. He's doing his coaching badges. So again, use that information. He's a good midfield player as well. He can have different insight into what midfield players are seeing, how they see it as well. So that only helps us. So
he's preparing you an analyst report on Villa for this week?
No. What he'll do, he'll be in with us watching the games. So we'll watch the games and discuss as a group what we see, and then obviously get his input as from what a midfield player sees the game like. So obviously he lived it. He's been in it. So he might say, well, what about this? That's how I'd see it, and then obviously that you just at the end of it, you come to a plan and go, listen, this is what we're going to do.
And that must be so good for him to be involved despite having a long-term injury.
Yeah, definitely. I think for the lad himself, just to keep him part of it when you've had an injury and a setback like that. But a credit to him as well. Credit to him, that shows sort of character. He could sit at home now, just in it, but he's not. He's thinking, right, how can I help? So that says, again, that just goes with this group. It says what they're about. He's here to help, and he's on a set of sticks and doing everything he can to contribute.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Have you looked at the other teams in the table that are above you and wondered how high to draw the line about what side you could suck in potentially? Because the form of Burnley, along with Leeds and Everton, has probably got more teams looking over their shoulders now, despite the fact they've got to 40 points.
No, I haven't really looked at that. Obviously, it's well documented, the 3 teams that you just mentioned there. You look at that, but I haven't really focused a lot on the table. I honestly mean that. I know it may sound a bit strange, but I haven't. I know if you're picking up points, you're going to be moving in the right direction. And that's, if you start looking at all the permutations and stuff, you can end up, that just takes your focus away from what you're trying to do.
Do you think you could get to 40 points though and drag those in, and the other teams get to that as well? You're sort of thinking about that sort of total? I'm
not thinking about a total. I'm just thinking big thing for us. We finish above that line. However it comes, whatever the point is, that's all that matters. If it takes that and that's what we get, then that's it. That's my whole focus. I've not really looked at points. It's just performance, one half of football. Keep improving. Keep trying to do the best.
How much are you enjoying all of this?
Yes, I've spoken to this about before. Yeah, I enjoy working with the players. I enjoy being on the grass. I enjoy the competitive side of it, because that's something I've always done. All this, the press and everything with you guys, it's all new. So you come to terms with that and a bit more on your time. But listen, I'm in a privileged situation. There could be a lot of other things worse off than what I'm doing. I've got to look at it like that. I've gotten a chance to manage a Premier League team with a great group of lads and a great group of staff. So when you get the time to enjoy those bits, I think I'll be a bit silly not to.
Did you expect it to go on this long?
No, to be honest, I just thought, listen, when it happened, what can we do now? Sometimes in your life you get things thrown on you and you've got to react and respond. And it was just one of those moments, and you don't think about anything else. You just think, right, what we're going to do now. That's what's the most important thing that we need to do now.
One of the things that you said earlier as well, which I thought was really interesting, the fact that Ashley's now come into the group of decision makers, so to speak. You seem very willing to take on as many opinions as possible. Are you finding that that's the best way to get through this period, getting everyone together and listening to as many people as possible?
Yeah, because you can have too many opinions, but what you want is someone's eye on things as well. So they see things from a different point of view that you might miss. Sometimes it prods you, well, I didn't think of that, because you might think in a different way to him. So it's about you not being too proud of your own self, thinking it's only you. when you can use other information around you, why should I not listen or take information from a lad who's played hundreds and hundreds of Premier League games in the midfield player? So for me, take the information and then decide what's going to work for the group, and that's what it's always been about.
So once you've had those conversations, do you go away then individually and make the decisions on what's going to happen?
Yeah, we'll speak about it. Sometimes you look at things in training as well. You'll do a training session that you've worked on, you look at it, we film it. You might look at it and go, that didn't look right there. And when we'll go back and we'll speak among ourselves in the group and go, right, we think this way it looks better. So it's just coming together. You got to use that, because at the end of the day, they're going and delivering the performance. We're there to help them. So as long as they feel right in themselves and they're comfortable, then that's the main thing.
I just wonder how much your life has changed in these few weeks. I mean, even your daily life, being in and around the area and going to the shops and things like that, is it a totally different experience than before? Yeah,
I've tried to just keep everything normal. You know, like the other day, it was my lad's 18th birthday. I was sat in that back cave over there, missed most of that. I go and see my dad, who's got dementia and he's in a home. I go and see him yesterday, you know, and he keeps saying, every time I see him, he keeps saying, well, you got a new car. You know, you have to laugh. It's just normal life. You know, that's priceless, that stuff outside what's going on here.
But do you get people talking to you more now than ever before about?
My phone's got a few more texts on it that I haven't seen for a long time, but I think that's part and parcel of it, isn't it? You get people getting back in touch. I just think people want you to do well. I think that's all it is. I don't think there's nothing wrong in that.
And you feel the warmth for the area, I guess, as well, don't you? Because they are warm people around here.
Yeah, no, definitely. You only have to look at, you know, that response from the fans, the home games and that away end the other day as well. You know, it's a special group. We're really proud that we've got them. I think we're really lucky that we've got them, and what they've done for us so far and what we need from them moving forward will be, if they can keep bringing that'll be superb for us.
Thank you.
No problem.
Afternoon. I'll get my repeat question out of the way. Is it one day you're going to turn around and tell me you signed a 5-year contract? That's what it is. So it's game by game, situation unchanged.
As we were, yeah, as we were.
I've got to ask it, mate. I've got to ask it. Just clarifying on the injuries. Are we saying Eric should be available and Max and Jay have got a chance? Is that? Yeah,
that's where we're at this moment. That's a moment in time. We're just looking again, see how things respond overnight. In the morning, obviously, we have a meeting in the morning, discuss what we think, and then we'll make the final decisions tomorrow.
Just on J Rod, obviously signed a new contract this week. How important is that, given obviously his role at the club, his connection to the club and the town, and that so many players are out of contract? To have one signed on is obviously
I think that's like all contracts. I think that's been going on in the background for a while. The negotiations and discussions on that. And listen, great for Jay. You know, he's as a player and a character from my dealings with him and what I've seen. He's a great pro, talented boy as well, and he cares about what he does. So congratulations to him on that. I think he deserves that.
And I guess the more sort of certainty you can get on players' futures, whether that comes with you in charge or not, the better, really, given, you know, the number of people that are out of contract.
Yeah, I think this stage of the season, I think you always get that, but I think this group knows what we need to try and do this moment in time. And I think they're all attacking that. They've really come together and all that. And I think we've just got to try and keep that as well. The contract situation, I'm not privy to all that. Obviously, with what's been going on, we've just got to make sure that the group stays united, which they have done.
You touched on the sort of mental side of it, of football in general. Is that something you've put a bit of emphasis on, maybe as much as the football, given that obviously we know these are good players, they're Premier League players, but given the situation of the club when you took charge, is that something you've approached as much as football? Yeah,
you have to. I think you learn about that more as you go along. You realise the importance of it the more you're in coaching. How you get through to players and what's the group like. Each group's different. What stage are they at? What position are they in? What do they look like? Is it an older group, younger group? So I think you've got to look at that before you start just jumping into things. So we've tried to do that as well.
Obviously, home game support has been superb since you you came in, and
Yeah.
I think it's only been 3 or 4 weeks since you started. How big an achievement, how important do you think it would be for Burnley as a town to retain its Premier League status, given everything that that comes with it, financials and all that sort
obviously
of stuff?
it's well documented. It's huge, but we can't look at it too much like that. We can't let it become a monster. We've got to make sure. Listen, we know how much it means to everybody, the fans, the club, the whole thing. We know that. And all I can say is that we're fighting to try and achieve that. Everyone's trying to do that. That's our purpose. The sole purpose is just that. When sometimes if you haven't got a purpose, you've got nowhere to go. This group's got one, so that's what we're fighting to do.
Last one for me. Are you having any sort of say or role in anything in terms of recruitment, or has that been sort of
not whatsoever. No,
minute?
it's just been
Focus on the
good games. Yeah.
Lovely. All the best for the weekend.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks everyone, broadcast section.
Can I just have a
Oh, Alan, sorry.
No, it's all right, no
Apologise.
Mike, I know you said that you're still going game by game, but obviously there's so few games left. Are you kind of preparing as if you might be in charge for the rest of the season?
Yeah, we always try and think one ahead. We always try and think one ahead in terms of preparation. You've got an eye. I think you have to do that anyway. I think you won't be doing your job if you're not here tomorrow, if you weren't doing that. So that doesn't change. Your focus is, and your preparation is always trying to work that one game ahead, because otherwise you leave yourself too much to do.
Yeah, and obviously the way the last game finished, how big do you think that can be in terms of maybe the next game and even sort of the ones ahead, just the kind of momentum from that?
Yeah, when you look at the games we've had so far, I think each one's been different. It's been against a different style. Each game's built up as to be the next biggest one. And the players have found a way to pick up results. That for me, that stays with you. That doesn't go away. You've actually gone through that as a group and as a player, so you know what it feels like. You're living it, so you can draw on them events and what's happened when you see them again, because you're going to see them again in the next 3 or 4 games. You're going to see times in them games what you've just seen in them past 3 or 4, and the experience of that can only help the group, brings it stronger.